Hey, hi, hello. Hi there. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever, yeah. Good morning, good evening, and good night. Whatever time it is for you, welcome to Art Play. Today, I'm going to be giving you a tutorial, a beginner's tutorial on Krita. So I'm going to be going straight from when you first open the app, all the way to when you're a few days into drawing, and some little things that will be useful for drawing in general. So first of all, this is what you'll see when you first open the app. The only thing that you won't see is the recent documents, because you don't have any because you haven't made anything yet. So you'll go to New File, which is this right here, and then here you set your width and your height and your resolution. This right here, 1280 by 720, that's the size for a standard YouTube thumbnail. And then you go down here to create. Now you have your canvas, so everything looks quite overwhelming. There's layers and colors and tools and more tools. Yeah, it's a little confusing. So I'm just going to go over each and everything that's here nice and slow. First of all, file. There's new file, open recent file. So these are all the files that you've worked on recently. And you can create new files, open files, save files, or export files. Saving files will save them as a Krita document, and exporting will turn them into any file type that Krita supports. The rest of it isn't anything that I've really had to do. Render animation, I think I've used that before, but that's only for animation. Edit, you can undo or redo, which is just Control Z or Control Shift Z is the shortcut, which is what I use. I don't usually use this. You can cut, copy, paste. You paste at cursor, paste into new image, paste as reference image. I haven't even used that, didn't know that existed. But guess what? It's there. There's fill, clear, all stuff that you can use to edit what you're doing. Next, there is view. So this will change what kinds of things you can see. You can mirror your view. So if you have this right here and you press M, it will mirror it, and it will show rulers. You can show all sorts of different things that will be useful when you're drawing or photo editing or animating, even any of those things. Next menu we have is image, where you can find properties, trim to image size, trim to current layer, rotate, shear the image. I don't really know what that means, but guess what? I've never used it, so it doesn't really matter. So if you're drawing, you probably won't need any of this stuff. Mirror image horizontally or vertically. Sometimes that can be useful, but I haven't really had to use it at all. Then we have layer, so you can cut layer, copy layer, paste lemur. Yeah, you can copy the lemur or paste the lemur. You can create new layers here, which you don't really need to do it here. This is just an extra spot to do it. Import or export. Now this is if you want to add images. So you go import as paint layer, and then you'll see all sorts of things. So we have this right here. There's our Minecraft Bedrock Edition logo. So that is how you import things as layers. You can delete layers over here. Okay, now we can go to select. Select all, which will select all that. Select. Here you can do some really fun stuff, such as inverting your selection, shrinking your selection, or growing your selection. Alright. You can deselect all or reselect all that you had selected before. Now we have filters. Now filters are nice and fun because you can do all sorts of things, adjust color adjustment and blurs, which are useful sometimes for backgrounds and stuff if you don't want them to be out of focus. Enhancing, edge detection, color, all sorts of filters that you can use when drawing or photo editing. Tools, I actually don't use any scripts, so I'm not really sure what these are, but they aren't useful as a beginner. So this is a beginner's tutorial. They are not useful as a beginner. In settings, you can configure Krita, so this is just all your settings. Toolbars shown, file, brushes and stuff. Next is window, new view, so you can create a new view. So this right here, this big thing here, this is a view. So if you go to window and you go workspace animation, it changes your view. We were starting with default, which is what you will find when you open Krita for the first time. Next is help, where there's a Krita handbook, report bugs, show Krita log for bug reports, all boring stuff that you're never going to need unless you really care about being a good Samaritan and reporting bugs. Then we have our tools. So I'm not going to go over every tool, I'm going to go over the most important tools. So this right here is your brush. This is what you use to draw. Up here, you can change the opacity, which is the transparency. As you can see, as you draw more and more, it goes over top. And the size, which changes, well, the size. Alright, next we have line tool. So this will draw straight lines no matter how you do it. Square, circle. And this is a polygon tool, so you can draw your own shapes like that. And then the rest of this isn't really important. This right here is transform. It will transform whatever you have selected. You can resize it. Hold shift while resizing to keep the proportions the same. Just like this. And if you don't hold shift, you can go like this and flip it and make it really warped and weird, however you want to do it. Next is this right here, which will only move the selection, so it won't resize or anything like that. Moving on, we have the gradient tool. This will create gradients selected through here. You can add gradients, edit gradients, blah blah blah, boring stuff, nothing you're really going to need right now as a beginner. Alright, and then we have the fill tool, which just fills wherever you click. If you have a line such as this and it's closed down here, you can just use the fill tool and you can fill that right in. This stuff, nothing I've used. These are just selection tools in the same shapes as before. Use shift to do a perfect circle, shift to do a perfect square, yada yada yada. Polygon selection tool, you can create your own selection shapes just like that. This is freehand, like that. And then this is the magic wand. So it is the same as the fill tool, but it selects whatever you click on instead of filling it. Next we have pan, which lets you move around. You can also just zoom in and out of different spots to move around. Instead of panning, because that I find actually quite a bit easier and less complicated, and you don't have to switch tools every time. So that's useful. Okay, so we're done with all the tools. Now over here we have the advanced color selector. So this goes darker as upwards, less saturated as left, and more saturated as right. So if you go right in the middle, it's like a little saturated, a little dark, all that fun stuff. Around here is where you change the colors. Right here you can change individual things such as darkness, saturation, and hue right up here, which will slightly move the hue around the color that you currently have selected. So if I have this selected, it will give me things around here to choose from. Okay, next we have layers. So this is where all of your layers will be. So you can draw on one layer like this, and then you can add a new layer right here. You just click that right there and it'll add a new paint layer on top. There you go. Now you can draw over top without actually drawing on top of the other thing. So if you use your eraser, E to switch to eraser with any brush, it will not affect the layer underneath. Control Z to undo that, and there you have it back. Okay, so here's a couple other things. This right here changes if the layer is on or off. If you turn it off, you can't see it. Turn it on, you can see it. Right here is a lock. So what this will do is it will make it so you can't draw on it because it's locked. You can't delete it accidentally because it is locked. This right here, now this is useful. This is the transparency lock. So basically now if you have drawn something, you can't draw anywhere except for where that drawing is. This is very useful for coloring. So if we turn this off and get a bigger brush like this, you can see if I go like that and then I change colors, I can only color in this. So when will this be useful? Well, I'll kind of try and explain that a little bit later, maybe in another video, because I am thinking of doing some short videos, some Krita quick tips, if you will, and those will be some things where I cover everything way more in depth, such as this tool, every little brush that you would actually use that has a different purpose than other brushes, some of these tools over here, some of the settings, all of that fun stuff. I will be doing some Krita quick tips. So if you have not already, please hit subscribe, hit like if you're enjoying, dislike if you're not. That will really help me out, and that will let me know if you guys really want me to do the Krita quick tips or not, and if you're enjoying what I am doing right now. Tutorials, first tutorial on the channel, hope you're enjoying. Anyways, let's go back to the tutorial. Alright, so this is the background. This is an automatic layer that you will always automatically have. You will also have a layer 1. You cannot draw on the background since it is locked automatically, but you can delete it, and now you have a transparent background. I will be going over exporting later on in a Krita quick tip and everything else like that. Next we have brushes. So this is an eraser right here. So this will just erase as normal. As you can see, the eraser is toggled on. You can't toggle it off on an eraser. This right here is a brush which you can turn into an eraser by just clicking that right there or pressing E on your keyboard. So I don't use the eraser tool, I just use that, and then I can just turn it right back off, and now I have a brush again. This right here will change sizes as you draw. If you have a graphics tablet, you will not find that that will happen if you do not have a graphics tablet. But this right here will not change size. This will be feathered on the edges. This will change opacity as you press. As you can see, it kind of shows a preview of what will change. So this will be opacity and size, I believe. This one just opacity. This one just, it's already opaque, and this one will change how narrow it is. This one narrowness and opacity, yada 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 yada. Pencil tool, fun stuff, okay? So that's all of the brushes. Now, in tool options is where you can have a stabilizer. Now what this will do as you can see, if I turn this on to 19 pixels, let's say, you can see that it won't draw until I'm outside of this big circle here. So this will make much smoother lines, especially if you're drawing on a mouse. As you can see, the line is a lot smoother right now. That's a very smooth line. If I turn the stabilizer all the way off, that is not a very smooth line at all because I don't know how to draw with a mouse. Anyways, that's it, okay? So all of the other stuff that you would like me to cover in quick tip videos, please let me know in the comments down below. That is all I'm giving you for the Krita Beginners tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying, please hit like and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I release Krita quick tips or gaming videos, as I do those as well on this channel. I upload on Wednesdays and Fridays, both at 8 AM Eastern Standard Time every single week. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.